You know, I truly am sick of all the lies. I'm sick of every gaming CEO, of every tech CEO in the gaming space trying to tell us, the consumer, what we want, what we like, when we're the ones telling them what we actually want to see, the kind of products we want to purchase, and the kind of games we want to play. No, the majority of people do not want AI being shoved into everything. It really goes to show that these companies and executives only want to do one thing, and that is push what they feel will maximize the amount of money to pull out of your wallet on a consistent basis. And watching Nvidia do this in front of our very own eyes over the past couple of days, especially with DLSS 5, has truly been an eye-opening experience whatsoever. Everything from Nvidia going around and showcasing DLSS 5, which doesn't really work the way it's supposed to. Thank you, Daniel Owen, for exposing that, by the way. Basically showcasing to everyone that DLSS 5 is nothing more than just AI Instagram filters laced over a 2D image of vectors inside of a video game. Good job. Also, Digital Foundry, way to go to get scammed on that one, by the way. Sick, bro. But you see, it doesn't just stop there. It turns out that Jensen Huang and even Nvidia are in fact doubling down and have done the dumbest thing possible, telling people that gamers are wrong, that our eyes don't in fact work, that, hey, we're not looking at the technology the way it's supposed to be looked at. No, we in fact are looking at it and we're saying, hey, this looks like... And clearly, it in fact does. And anyone trying to defend DLSS 5 should of course be considered to be nothing more than a bot trying to go ahead and convince you that you should keep giving Nvidia money for some insane particular reason. The problem is this though, it's going to keep spreading across so many other facets. AMD will more than likely do the exact same thing. Hell, even other companies as well are leaning heavily into AI on top of this. But you see, to my insane surprise, it turns out that another trillion-dollar corporation may in fact be looking at what Nvidia is going through and taking those lessons directly. Hell, maybe even doing the opposite. And you'll never guess who. But before we get into that, we need to set the stage of what's in fact happening and why Nvidia is back in the news cycle again about DLSS 5 after basically just being exposed over the past couple of days. And it looks like this tweet from Tom's Hardware explains it all. Tom's Hardware on Twitter says this: Nvidia CEO says he's, quote, empathetic to DLSS 5 concerns. Jensen Huang doubles down on defense while decrying AI slop. Okay, no, you cannot sit here and pander to people saying, guys, look, listen, I don't like AI slop either, but the thing is, AI's the future, and we're the ones going to be pushing forward with it simply because we're the ones that have all the money from every other major tech company, and Nvidia's also the one trying to push AI to the forefront of basically everything. Also, don't forget that they're working directly with the security company known as Palantir. You know, that same company that is using AI to then create basically Minority Report to go ahead and try to use AI to also determine whether or not you will commit a crime and then use that data to arrest you prematurely? You should look that up. It's actually pretty crazy. Trust me. But besides those really weird connections that Nvidia has recently with other companies, we are also seeing really wild things happening in the gaming space because of Nvidia. You see, DLSS 5 was announced a couple of days ago, in fact, about a week back, and we saw every other major outlet talk about this actual technology, and I use that term loosely. Digital Foundry was caught basically just going on and glazing this entire thing, not understanding exactly what they were looking at while pretending they knew what they were looking at. When this all was exposed, the one thing Jensen Huang said was that gamers are wrong, that we don't know what we're talking about. Yet it continues to come out as more information happens that Nvidia was the one trying to sell us snake oil from the very beginning. And the problem that I have with that is this: Nvidia controls 94% of the GPU market in the gaming space right now. They make the actual SoCs for the Switch 2, and basically everybody only looks at Nvidia GPUs as the gold standard of graphics cards. And to make matters even worse, companies like AMD, whose GPUs I purchase right now, are going around and copying Nvidia on every single thing that they do. So really, there's no actual differentiator between red and green. It's all just going to be the exact same thing. And for Jensen to turn around and have the actual testicular fortitude and hubris to say, hey, by the way, guys, I don't like AI slop either, but DLSS 5 is going to be great, really goes to show he is completely out of touch and, dare I even say, out of time. You're singing that song now. I know you. But not only is he those things specifically, it turns out he's also a massive hypocrite. According to the article by Tom's Hardware, it says this: Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang is conceding to backlash following comments the executive made at GTC 2026, where he said gamers were, quote, completely wrong about their criticisms of DLSS 5, as first reported by Tom's Hardware. During a recent appearance on the Lex Friedman podcast, Huang seemed more sympathetic to the vocal crowd that has framed DLSS 5 as AI slop, with Jensen Huang saying this, quote, I think their perspective makes sense, Huang said, and I could see where they're coming from because I don't love AI slop myself. You know, all of the AI generated content increasingly looks similar and they're all beautiful. So I'm empathetic towards what they're thinking. That's just not what DLSS 5 is trying to do. How on earth can this dude literally sit there and lie to your face on a consistent basis, as everybody is pointing out? That's literally exactly what DLSS 5 is doing. So clearly, Jensen Huang and everybody in Nvidia are just doing everything they can to provide actual damage control. And the crazier part is he said things like, everybody looks beautiful. We're not trying to do that. Literally, while going around and during their entire showcase of DLSS 5, doing that exact same thing with Grace from Resident Evil, with all the Oblivion characters, using all that telemetry data of all those learning models to say, oh, they should look like this. And then they layer the entire 2D image over that rendered frame. And if you don't believe me, here's in fact what really happens with DLSS 5. Too long didn't read. Nvidia's DLSS 5 processes only 2D frames and motion vectors, lacking access to 3D geometry or PBR data, causing AI to alter character details and ignore artistic intent. Despite developer controls, the technology risks generic results and temporal artifacts, indicating significant improvements are needed before release. That's right. So it doesn't do jack shit. It takes the actual image that you're getting on your screen, says, oh, it's a 2D vector, layers the AI slop all right over it and says, there's your picture. Way to go. That's why it took two 5090s to process. That's why it didn't work out of the box. That's why it looked like garbage because of all the training model data. And here comes this clown walking over to you and telling you, hey guys, look, I don't like AI slop either, but you know, it's good, right? No, you clown. Stop this. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But the thing is, there's more to Jensen's statements. So let's go check them out. With the article saying this, although Huang is striking a more conciliatory tone, much of his response is similar to what we heard at GTC. Quote, the artist determines the geometry. We are completely truthful to the geometry. So every single frame, it enhances, but it doesn't change anything. With Jensen also saying this, quote, the question about enhancing DLSS 5 in the future, you could even prompt it. You know, I want to be a toon shader. I want it to look like this, kind of. You could even give it an example and it would generate in the style of that. All consistent with the artistry, the style, the intent of the artist, Huang continued. All of that is done for the artist so they can create something that is more beautiful, but still in the style that they want. Oh, so we're just lying. That's what we're doing. We're just straight out fucking lying is what we're doing, right, Jensen? That's how things are going to go. We're just going to sit and be like, oh, we're not going to change anything. We're just going to change everything that you can prompt it to go ahead and have it changed. That way you don't have to do any work. And the gaming industry could then fire you from being an artist after you do that. They can prompt whatever they want for the textures and the 2D vectors and then go through and then sell you the game for $100 instead. Bravo. Bravo. The actual idiocy of this entire industry literally falling apart simply because people like Jensen are at the helm. But I think the crazier part, the more wild part about this isn't what Nvidia is doing. No, it's what Microsoft is doing. And if you thought it was going to stop here, honey, you've got a big storm coming. Because what I'm about to tell you now is going to blow your socks off, and it's going to be a position that you would clearly believe Microsoft would in fact never have taken. Microsoft promises Windows 11 overhaul with less AI and more control. Microsoft Windows President Pavan Davuluri announced a 2026 quality reset to tackle frustrations like intrusive Copilot features in apps such as Notepad and Photos. Key upgrades include a movable taskbar, fewer start menu ads, faster file explorer, lower memory usage, and easier update pauses without forced reboots. While some welcome the focus on performance and choice, others like Minecraft's Notch doubt the changes will stick, sparking fresh interest in Linux alternatives and its rising appeal. Wait, I'm sorry, did you catch all of that? Yeah, while Nvidia is doubling down and tripling down on AI slop, it turns out the one company that was always behind it in the first place is now doing, apparently, from what I'm being told, a complete 180 on their entire AI stance. This is all in the wake of Project Helix. This is all in the wake of Asha Sharma, who was part of the AI team at Microsoft, now doing the Xbox side as well, and even part of Microsoft Gaming. And even though we've talked consistently about how Satya Nadella has been pushing AI, especially into his Copilot and data centers, it looks like things may in fact be having a complete turnaround with this shift. Microsoft and Nvidia have been two peas in a pod in terms of AI, but I think for this particular reason, we're seeing the backlash Nvidia has been taking and watching Microsoft say, you know what? Maybe not. Maybe let's not have this happen to us at the same time while they go through and try to launch a brand new hybrid PC console, while at the same time having to deal with the Mac Neo, while that little laptop device with 8 gigabytes of RAM has been crushing what normally happens across the board with other operating systems, while at the same time the Steam machine is knocking on the back door of Microsoft. That exact one. Yes, I said it. That one. Literally pushing Linux to the forefront in the gaming space as more and more people are switching to it. And having a company like Valve, with its entire track record of being pro-consumer, literally tell you exactly, hey, here's what we're going to be doing. By the way, buckle up. We're showing up, is not a good sign for Windows at all. And clearly what is happening right now, in my opinion, is that Microsoft is in fact hitting the panic button and trying to do everything they can to walk as much back of their AI slopification that they've been trying to put into their system in the first place. A complete 180 and opposite dichotomy of what Nvidia is doing on the gaming side. Because according to PC Gamer on Twitter saying this, Microsoft might actually make Windows 11 good as the company promises to roll back AI features and improve performance. PC Gamer's article says this: the blog post written by Microsoft Windows President Pavan Davuluri kicks off with exactly the right tone, saying, quote, "I want to speak to you directly as an engineer who has spent his career building technology that people will depend on every day, and then an admission that people want Windows 11 to be better." Here's how Microsoft breaks it down. More taskbar customization, including vertical and top positions, integrating AI where it's most meaningful with craft and focus, reducing disruption from Windows updates, faster, more dependable file explorer, more control over widgets and feed experiences, a simpler, more transparent Windows Insider program, improved feedback hub available starting today. Getting back to the list, Microsoft's AI note might sound a little vague, but the company explains that it actually involves rolling back some AI features where they're not needed. As part of this, we are reducing unnecessary Copilot entry points, starting with apps like Snipping Tool, Photos, Widget, and Notepad. Isn't it crazy how just a little bit of competition in the gaming space all of a sudden will now create possibly a better Windows experience for pretty much everybody across the board? Having Valve step in with SteamOS, having Linux Bazzite, Catchy, and even Linux Mint show up and just go ahead and start reducing actual market share of Windows, having every other major company that also shoved AI into everything that they're doing, including you, Nvidia, go around and start having massive amounts of backlash hit them right in the face over and over again. It's almost like Microsoft Windows said, hey, We got to stop this before things get really bad out of nowhere, because they're watching what's happening. They're seeing the forest from the trees, and they're noticing that things could definitely go around and eat their lunch, especially with the Steam machine. And even more so, we're seeing how every other operating system is now gunning for trying to take massive amounts of market share away from Microsoft themselves. And this is nothing more than a good thing. When more people are competing in the same exact space, there's less room for them to screw things up or to force things onto you as a consumer that nobody actually wanted. Imagine if Nvidia didn't have 94% market share, but had 60-40 instead, or maybe even 50-50 with AMD. It would be a very different Nvidia than we have today. They wouldn't be giving you 1 extra gigabyte of VRAM. They wouldn't be shoving AI slop over your images. They would be doing better with their drivers, which have been an actual disaster recently. They'd be doing more for you and not raising prices every single generative GPU cycle. And this flies completely in the face of everything that we've been seeing recently. Even everything Satya Nadella has been talking about in terms of what AI will be doing for Microsoft. But the thing is, not everybody is happy about this change or believes it's going to be impactful. Check it out. Notch on Twitter says this: I trust Microsoft's promises to change about as much as I trust the "okay, we'll show you less shorts" message on YouTube. And I kind of agree with Notch on this. It really feels like Microsoft is doing this not out of the kindness of their heart or to try and make a better product. No, I feel like they're doing this out of actual desperation. They see Valve knocking down the door, especially with SteamOS going to be released to desktops pretty soon when the Steam machine in fact launches. They're seeing Project Helix and the entire gaming community look at what's happening with AI and going, nah, I don't want any involvement with that. Even though we've shown recently what they're trying to do with Copilot inside of Helix as well. The thing is this: if Microsoft can sit back and roll back a lot of the issues that people were having, not only with Windows 11, but especially with the new systems moving forward, we could see a massive 180 turn and direct competition in the gaming space, not only against other PlayStation and Nintendo, but also against the operating system space against Valve on top of that, which makes one of two things happen. Windows gets better, so people on Xbox and Windows PCs have a better experience. Linux gets better because Valve pushes even harder to make Linux more accessible to more users, pulling people away from Windows. If Microsoft sticks to this and they push forward, it could be a huge deal because it will make gaming on their devices so much better overall, especially on the ROG Ally and their new Project Helix system. Because according to Screen Rant, as of this week, Microsoft has rolled out Steam integration for the Xbox app on PC. Windows 11 and ROG Ally support for third-party apps is already available, but now you can add games to your Xbox app library even if they're from another platform like Steam. If you're not familiar with this kind of process, it happens like this. On Steam, you can go ahead and actually add a non-Steam game to your library, whether it's an EXE, whether it's an emulator, or any other program that you want. Hell, anything that you want to add as a shortcut to Steam, you can do so. And it's one of the biggest ways to customize your entire library as well. That's been one of Microsoft's biggest issues with the Xbox PC app and what Xbox has been doing with the ROG Ally as well. But now you can literally go through and do the exact same thing. And you can add non-Xbox app games and regular EXE files to your actual Xbox PC app, creating one specific place to launch all of your games and applications from. If you want to launch an emulator, you can do that with that actual shortcut. And even now, Steam Grid DB, which is a database of all actual Steam icons that you can put for any other non-Steam game, works with the Xbox PC app as well. So you can fully flesh out and customize every single aspect of that literal device. And if they apply this to Project Helix and they apply this to the ROG Ally X and also to Windows itself, you could be seeing a true direct competitor to Steam, while at the same time having Microsoft roll back so many of their AI issues and making Windows 11 hopefully a better place to play video games. This could be a massive turnaround, not only for Microsoft, but also shoving back in the face of what Nvidia has been doing and how companies could in fact gain actual consumer brand loyalty by doing the right thing by the customer. I would never expect the day that I would literally say that Microsoft is doing something right for once instead of stepping on an actual fucking rake. But it really goes to show, in my opinion, how completely tone deaf so many companies are. And the thing is this, Nvidia is not going to learn this lesson until their GPUs stop being purchased. Microsoft caught this 180, not because they're trying to do the right thing, but because they saw Valve knocking on the door and they said, hey buddy, we're going to take all your users because people actually like us and we do right by them first rather than the shareholders first. And that's going to be something that Microsoft is going to have to contend with. And that's exactly what every other major company in the gaming space is going to contend with. It's kind of crazy how a 6-inch cube is setting the entire industry on fire and basically turning around and could possibly make the right massive changes for every other consumer in the gaming space because of their just actual existence. But truth be told, I'm with Notch on this. I'm going to be holding my breath as to what's going to be happening with Windows 11, but hopefully those removals of AI tools that aren't necessary at all and truly the better experience that people could be having with Windows 11 and also with the new Project Helix could be a big play for the right movement and pushing people in the right direction to check out either that platform or those systems or even have proper competition against Valve as well in that open PC market, which would truly make everybody better overall. Take some notes, Jensen. If Microsoft is figuring it out, maybe you're the one that's behind now too. But you know what? I want to hear what you guys got to say about this in the comments section down below. Do you think Microsoft can in fact pull this off? Do you think Nvidia is doubling down way too hard? Or do you feel like the Steam machine is literally setting everybody straight to finally do some good competition in the gaming space? I want to hear what you got to say. And speaking about what you got to say, here in fact is the comment of the day from last week's video. With David DeRoiser, 1946, saying this, an industry that refuses to serve its customers doesn't deserve to exist. David, my man, you are cooking with peanut oil, my friend. You've got it hook, line, and sinker. This industry needs us as consumers and customers, and the more that they actually cater to us and what our needs are and what we're asking for, the better they'll do. But the more they pander to C-suite individuals, the worse things get for them. Happens every time, yet for some reason, they never learn their lesson. We'll see what happens next, though. But hey, if you want to see more of this kind of content though, more hot takes on the gaming industry, more gaming news, PC port reviews, Steam Deck videos, fanboy content, and much more, subscribe to the channel. But if you want Discord access or emotes during live streams, become a YouTube member. It's as low as $1. Look, if you don't want to spend the buck, don't sweat it. The thing is, I stream live every Saturday night, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, right here on this channel, and it's an insane show. Just come on down, hang out in front of 800 other people while they get to go ahead and make fun of me with TTS for about 5 to 6 hours. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Saturday nights, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, live right here on the channel. The streams are insane. With all that being said, though, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great one, and I'll see you gooners next time. Peace!